All right, guys. So let's kind of get straight into what we're looking for on the week. And I think this might be a pretty solid week. So, a couple things that we want to keep in mind going into the new week is this is also going to be the start of a new month. So, whenever we're in the start of a new week or a new month or a new day, I'm always looking at the daily, that specific time frame to see can we anticipate that next move, right? On the higher time frame, whatever candle it is, right? So, let's go straight into NQ, and we'll start off on the weekly time frame first, since we have a new week. Now, right now, when we look at the prior week, right, we had essentially this move up, and then the market pushed down. So we've respected from this swing high down to the swing low. The market had this candle that closed below this low, right? So we kind of have a distribution candle, and essentially like an order block that's formed on the weekly time frame. Um, Now, when we pair this up with the monthly time frame, which is going to be the next monthly candle, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, this candle's still forming, so it'll be interesting to see how we close. Candle will close going into Wednesday, but nonetheless, it looks like if this candle closes as is, we can essentially target the current monthly low because there'll be some sort of fair value gap, or even further down here. So we'll see how this ultimately plays out. I'm definitely leaning bearish as we go into the new week. So maybe some sort of opening price here, price pushes up, maybe comes back and retests this area, and then maybe we have a move lower. So essentially forming a candle like this, where we have a candle open, we form a top wick, and then we have an expansion move lower, maybe towards the middle to the end of the week. Now, when we look at the daily time frame, it'll be interesting to see how much of a move up we get, if anything, to be honest. What I kind of do hope is maybe we get some sort of rally at the open, um, something like this, where the market essentially has a rally up. We push into maybe this weekly order block, which would be in here, sweep some liquidity, and then form some sort of bearish setup going into maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then start to expand lower, take out these lows, possibly into this area in here, the rejection block of this body. That's kind of like the bias that I'm looking for, and this is the exact play that I'm looking for. Now, if we get something like this will probably be a little bit of a swing trade, depending on what day we get it, depending on, there's a lot of other variables, but again, if you guys in Discord, we'll obviously talk about it in real time. So same thing in here on ES, we essentially have the same exact thing, right? Where the market respected this bearish leg from swing high down to swing low. We formed essentially this formation here with this candle closure below here. So now we have a distribution candle and an order block formation. So now when we go to the daily time frame, it's the same thing, really, right? It's the same thing. I want to see, are we going to have any near-term rally? There's a bunch of equal highs here, so it's very similar to NQ. Do we start off the week with some sort of rally, maybe a sweep over here, and then some sort of confirmation to the downside, right? If the market rallies here, I'm not going to automatically look for a sell. I still want to see some sort of backside move or some sort of confirmation, and then I'll definitely be interested in something like that. If we get like a sell opportunity somewhere in here on the backside, down to new lows and stuff like that. So that's kind of the bias going into the new week. Pretty straightforward, and the same thing on here. The monthly candle closure, we also have this big fair value gap that's down in here. So if the current monthly candle closes like something like this, where we took out the prior bar high, closed back in the range, and we have fair value gap below, I will reasonably expect, especially because the weekly time frame is also showing as bearish structure. The daily time frame is also kind of showing bearish structure. But I would want to see one little bit of a swipe up here, maybe into these equal highs to this gap, and then see the market fail through, right? I don't want to see a push up and then close above here, close above this, and then start to slowly push higher. Then obviously we'll adjust our bias accordingly. But as of right now, I'm kind of sticking to this narrative, and I'm waiting for something like this on the backside move for a potential intro week swing. But that's pretty much it. Let me go over gold as well. So again, same thing, new month. This is a pretty bearish month. We are kind of sitting at support, but I do think that the way that this candle closes is going to be very important. If we close below this low, could we have a little bit of a retracement higher first? Of course, especially on the new candle open. But we might start to dive deep a little bit lower into this gap. When we go to the weekly time frame and the daily time frame, this one's a little bit tricky, to be honest, the current spot, because I wouldn't necessarily want to look for longs because we've obviously been in such a bearish trend. I definitely wouldn't want to continue shorting because we are kind of under a key pivotal low. We did tap this fair value gap just a bit. Sometimes we might, like, I think a better buy would be if we come back into like here, right? I think that, and I'll give an alert there. I think a buy here intraday would be very nice because we would retest this high with this imbalance point, right? So we go down to the weekly time frame. Still ways to go. Like maybe I don't know if we're going to get all the way down here or not, to be honest. But that would be a better level to play it at because right now the current legs are pretty bearish, right? Um, could this be the bottom? You know, you don't want to try to find the bottom when the market looks like this. You want to let the market bottom out, establish it, and then like something like this would be much better, right? Like if the market kind of like reclaims, drops lower, reclaims, and starts to show a bullish structure, and then maybe you could target something up here, right? You don't want to always try to find the bottom because sometimes the market, like if someone tried to find the bottom in here, the market pushed up and then drops lower, right? So not the best setup in here, I think, on gold overall. I think I think indices are definitely going to be where it's at going into the new week. Now, I'll also go over DXY. DXY, we didn't hit that objective just yet, but you guys know we were talking about this from last week that we were looking for this expansion move up into here. And inversely on Euro, this was our target. Beautiful, beautiful downside objective. So I think on this one, as we go into the new weekly time frame, it'll be interesting to see what happens as DXY goes up. Is this going to be some sort of like, you know, accumulation? This is possibly a manipulation move, and then we fade back into range. If we do that, then I could definitely see this kind of like pushing back up into here. I think the pound would be a little bit better buys because has a relative strength compared to the euro, which has been taking out lows, and pound has kind of been holding lows. So it'll definitely be interesting. And if that's the case, let me see the monthly time frame. Could see maybe a little bit of a trend move going into. Could see a trend move maybe on FX because FX has pretty much been doing nothing for a few months, really, almost a couple of years. So yeah, so we might start to have a little bit of expansion depending on what happens with DXY if we get into this gap, right? Or if maybe we just keep pushing higher, and then yeah, and then maybe come up into this gap. So I think the best play so far going into the week is definitely going to be on indices, and that's going to be my main focus. And yeah, and as we go along the week, especially during the live sessions, we'll kind of talk about price action as we go along. And hopefully we find some good opportunities this week because it is looking and setting up to be a potentially decent week. So yeah, if you guys have any questions in Discord, let me know. But other than that, see you guys all on stream Monday morning.